GameBuilder Studio.
GameBuilder Studio now has support for the tile maps exported from the widely used free tiled editor. It's pretty simple. Get in here and to create a new map. You choose orthogonal for the orientation. The only compression formats supported at this time are base 64 uncompressed, base 64 zlib compressed, and CSV. You give it the amount of tiles or the count of tiles in the horizontal direction as well as the vertical direction, and the size of each individual tile, which are all fixed at a certain width and height. I have one preset up here already. And what you'll notice when you export this from tile map and from tile, the editor, and import this into GameBuilder Studio, is this whole map will be treated as one image. And it's made up of all these tiles in this tile set. And your tile set is generated from these individual tiles that have to be combined into one image. I'm using the Kenny Platformer tile pack that will be on our marketplace pretty soon. And it has all these individual tiles laid out. And all I did was jumped into Texture Packer, drag and dropped, imported all these in here, made sure there was no padding or spacing in between each individual tile, and just exported that tile sheet. And then when you come in here into tiled, you create new tile set, and import that image, give it the size, and it'll create your tile set here, and you can just go ahead and start painting tiles on your map. The tiled editor has a number of useful features, and we've gone ahead and integrated with the ability for you to add an object layer onto your tile maps. And we use that object layer to define a collision objects or collision shapes onto your map. Now there's a particular way you need to set this up. You can create an object layer and start drawing your objects onto the map. We support the rectangular shape, the ellipse, but you need to make sure that you hold down the shift key to make it a complete circle or a circle with both width and height being the same. And we support the polygon shape tool as well. So you can go ahead and draw a particular polygon shape around an object, and you have to hit the control key to end your drawing. And in order for this to be picked up in GameBuilder Studio as a collision shape, you need to give it a type called shape. And now that collision shapes can have names, you can name your collision shape objects here as well. Now I'll save that out. I've already imported this into a project into GameBuilder Studio. So when I save that, and this is only for pro users, but when I resave it, every time I jump between GameBuilder Studio and tiled, it'll automatically update my map here in GameBuilder Studio. So to prove that point and drive it home, if I were to, sorry, I'm still in object mode. If I were to go to my tile layer, replace this boulder, add some more tiles, and I hit save, automatically I can jump over to GameBuilder Studio and everything's updated, as well as the collision shapes. You won't see the collision shapes in the editor. You'll only see it at runtime. So you must make sure that your tile map, when you import it into GameBuilder Studio, when you import that .tmx file, when you drag it onto the scene, it's going to have a regular spatial, a basic spatial on it. So you need to go into properties, add and find the collision spatial and add that to your entity and delete the old spatial. And then you'll need to make sure that you select the renderer to reattach the renderer to this new spatial. And you notice here, whenever you create a shape, so I'll zoom out so I can see the map and move it. Any shape that is on a collision spatial has a number of properties: density, friction, bounciness, etc. So you have the ability to alter these properties for your shapes created in Tiled by clicking on your objects, going into their object properties, and assigning the names here. So each name, each property here will correspond to a property added here inside of Tiled. So there's friction, restitution is mapped to bounciness. Then we have density, and you can give these whatever values you want. You have rolling, friction, and we also have is trigger. Now all these properties can be set right here in Tiled, and when you export your tile map from Tiled here and you import it into GameBuilder Studio, it will all sync up at runtime and it'll display your collision shapes. So let me go ahead and run that. So my character just fell through the floor, and that's because I changed this guy's property is trigger to true. I actually don't need to set this, so I'm just going to delete it actually from this. And whatever properties are missing here just won't be set on the shape. Save that. Run that again. And I have a little platformer character here on the stage already. So as you can see here, it's pretty simple to set up a platformer style game. You can even do top down style 2D games fairly easily. I changed the name of this guy, so I need to reattach this to the tracking. Or launch that again. Should actually move the scene. And you'll notice how the camera stops here towards the edge because it's clamped to the bounds of the scene. And I'll show you here inside of the render for the tile map. There's a property called clamp camera to map bounds, so you can restrict the camera tracking of a platforming character or any object to be capped within the bounds of the of your tile map. So you ideally you would only check this box for your main background tile map. If you have multiple tile maps in the scene, only check this for one of them because it can only be used one at a time. And you'll see here each one of your tile sets that are inside of Tiled. If you had multiple tile sets, each one would be listed here as a different sprite sheet. So you want to make sure that your tile set is an evenly laid out tile set, which it should be coming from Tiled, and it will be automatically a sprite sheet will automatically be created for it with a cell count divider that'll equally divide it up into the required slices. So that's tiled in in GameBuilder Studio.